Hi guys, it's James from the Lore Masters, back again with another deck profile. This time it's quite an unknown deck because it's only kind of recently been invented in the last few days. But before I begin, I want to give a shout out to the Traverse Tavern for the idea. They were playing it on stream last night, I saw it, and was like, do you know what, I want to have a go at that, so I took my own kind of spin on the whole thing. So what is the general idea behind the whole thing? So you use your ramp cards that you have in Sapphire, so like your Jump Ahead and your Mickey Mouse, to get to the 6 ink point, and then you start playing your decent cards like Beast, Wolfsbane or Genie, as well as it's playing all the normal Emerald tricks like Cheshire Cat, Cruella de Vil. So if you don't see the ramp, you can still play a good mid-range game by just doing that instead. But yeah, the nice kind of thing is you get to ramp nice and early, you get to play your genies, put a lot of early pressure on a lot of your characters, quest for 2 as well, so you can finish the game quite quickly. But we'll go through the deck anyway, and I'll kind of explain why I've chose certain things in this build. And yeah, you can have a go of it yourself. Right, so you can see the list on your screen right now. So we're going to go through it one by one. So the first thing is Robin Hood, Unrivaled Archer. So his ability is, when you play this character, if an opponent has more cards in their hand, you may draw a card, and during your turn this card has evasive. So the reason why we play this card is there isn't a massive amount of draw in this deck. This card gives you a little bit of draw, and generally because you're spending a lot of your cards ramping your ink, you generally have lower cards than your opponent who are not spending their cards to ramp their stuff. So you do draw a card a good proportion of the time. This is your one good answer to things like Pascal. It is useful for when your opponent is playing big evasives as well. It doesn't answer Brave Little Tailor Mickey, but we've got other answers for that. But things like Tigger, things like Goofy, it answers them. But yeah, any kind of small evasives. If not, it's just a 4/4, the quest for 2, and draw cards when it comes in. One of the kind of better Sapphire cards that we have so far. Okay, so excuse me if I completely butcher this name, but Jumba Jukiba, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. The reason why he's in here is purely just because of his stat line and the fact that he is inkable and is worth 2 lore points. So the fact that he's a 4/5 is very relevant, especially in a metagame of a lot of beast in there. It means that you can quest quite safely with this guy, and then a beast is not going to be able to just run over it on its own. That does go into Zeus as well. Zeus is seeing some play. It means that they have to trade 2 characters in to get rid of your 1. You just need to be wary of Genie when you're using this card, because getting it put back to your hand is very bad. So I would say maybe avoid playing it when you're playing against Emerald. But yeah, he's just in there just because he's got a massive toughness stat on him. Okay, Aurora Dreaming Guardian. So you've probably seen her if you've ever seen a Sapphire deck profile of mine. She's got the ability Shift Freeze. You can play free ink to play this on top of one of your characters named Aurora. We do play the 2-drop Aurora in this deck, which you'll see in a moment, so you can play this as early as turn 3. It's got Protective Embrace. Your other characters gain Ward. Your opponent cannot choose them except to challenge. If you have 2 of these on your board, your opponent cannot touch anything, including the Auroras. So it's worth bearing that in mind. We do play the 4-drop Aurora as well, which we'll see in a moment, so you can shift onto it, but chances are you probably won't. But she's worth 2 lore points, and she's quite useful because you can play her as early as turn 3, which means that you can use Let It Go as early as turn 3 as well if you really wanted to. But it's a nice option if your opponent is shifting their Stitch as early as turn 3, which they can do, because you can then use Let It Go on it just to get rid of it. So it is a nice option to have. Okay, next thing is Cruella de Vil. So she has the ability You'll Be Sorry. When this character is challenged and banished, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. So this is a very useful card to sing a Jump Ahead with, because you can play this on turn 2, and next turn you can use a Jump Ahead and use this to sing it. Your opponent generally will not want to challenge it, because they will have their best character bounce back to their hand, so it's generally kind of pretty safe. just to sing with it, because it doesn't matter if it's then exerted. But it's just one of the better Emerald cards we have right now, just because it does mess with your opponent. Generally, this card will quest quite a few times before your opponent finally decides, I need to do something about it, and then it puts them a turn ahead because you'll just bounce their best character. Okay, so Scar Mastermind. So Insidious Plot. When you play this character, chosen opposing character gets -5 attack this turn. So this is just one of the larger blue cards, just to take advantage of the fact that we are building up our ink quite fast. He generally gets inked quite early, but he's nice when you're doing a combat and you need to take care of something big and you don't want to trade your guy in it. You can just give it -5 attack over, and your character will survive. His stats are not bad himself as well, but he's just a nice big use of the ink that is inkable as well. Okay, and then Cheshire Cat. So it has the ability to lose something. When this character is challenged and banish the challenging character. So whatever actually takes this guy out is going to get banished as well. You do not choose what you're banishing, it's whatever takes him out. And he's worth 2 lore points as well. So you can quest away with this guy. Your opponent generally doesn't want to challenge it because they will lose their character. So they'll generally try to do whatever is their worst thing on their board. It basically will just buy you a few turns and a few extra lore points until they finally decide what they want to get rid of it with. But it's quite useful. I like the fact that it actually does give 2 lore points for a free drop. That's very nice. Right, one of the first ramp cards is Mickey Mouse Detective. So when you play this character, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. So play this on turn 3, go to 4 ink, and then you can also ink something as well. It goes on to 5 ink. So it's just one of the ramp cards together with a jump ahead, gets you to that 6 ink mark nice and early. It is a pain when you draw these late in the game, but you have to play the max amount of copies just so you see them nice and early. Okay. And then we've got Aurora, Regal Princess. So this is the 2-drop Aurora I was referring to earlier. So you do this on turn 2, and then turn 3 you can play Aurora, Dreaming Guardian. But this card is decent anyway. It gives 2 lore points for a 2-drop. It's only a 2/2, but it's there just to shift onto, and also gain 2 lore points as well. Okay, and then here's the other Aurora, Briar Rose. So Disarming Beauty. When you play this character, chosen character gets -2 attack this turn. She has a large toughness stat of 5. The attack stat's nothing to write home about, but she's nice little combat trick. So when you're wanting to crash into something, just to get rid of your opponent's things, give it -2 attack. Generally, it means that your character's not being hit back, so yours survives. It's just a nice little combat trick. Helps you kind of get a one up on your opponent. Okay, and then probably one of the best Emerald cards that have been revealed so far is Genie on the job. So he has Evasive and Disappear. When you play this character, you may return chosen character to their player's hand. So ever since this card was introduced, it's kind of warped what everybody's been playing. Generally, people will not play cards that are quite expensive in terms of ink, so things like 6 drops, 7 drops, 8 drops, if they do not have an ability when they enter play. Because they will just get punished by Genie. So Genie has really kind of shaped the meta in that way, and has really changed kind of what cards people are playing, because they're having to consider, if this gets Genie back to my hand, how is that going to feel? Not great, probably shouldn't be using it. Absolutely bonkers card. I reckon it's going to probably see a lot of play once we have the full set revealed, so pick up your copies on launch if you can. Okay, and then we've got Beast Wolfsbane. So 5-drop, 4/4 with Rush. It's got the ability, when you play this character, exert all opposing damaged characters. We can't really make use of that raw ability, it's never come up. It's just a 4/4 with Rush. It's just nice to use. So ramp early, play this, attack over something, job done. Facts is a legend though. I'm not sure if it's good enough to be a legend, but that's by the by. And one of the newer cards is Peter Pan, Never Landing. So he's evasive, 3/2 3-drop. Don't play this card versus Steel. If it gets hit by Fire the Cannons, it feels really bad. Against anything else, it's absolutely fine. but yeah, just don't play it against steel. Okay, so that's all the characters anyway, so there's 48 in total. In terms of action cards, we just run 4 copies of Develop Your Brain, which is look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put one in your hand, put the other onto the bottom of your deck. So you play this on turn 1, so you dig for your ramp cards, but it also is handy when you've got 1 spare ink just to use for a turn. You can kind of look at your top 2 cards. If you don't need to ramp anymore, you can have a look. If there's ramp cards on the top of your deck, you can put them on the bottom. It means that you're not drawing dead cards when you don't need them. But you can also find threats just to use up your ink. But we don't play any 1-drop characters because there's nothing that's kind of useful in the strategy. So you generally want to mulligan for this on turn 1. Okay, which just now brings us to our songs. So we run 4 copies of Let It Go. So a character of cost 5 or more can sing this song for free. Put chosen character into its player's inkwell face down and exerted. So this is nice for a few reasons. First of all, it's an inkable removal card. It's a song which we play multiple 5+ drops, so we can sing this card for free. And we can sing it as early as turn 3 with Aurora Dreaming Guardian, which I mentioned earlier. And it puts it into your opponent's inkwell face down and exerted, which means that they cannot get it back from their discard pile, so they can't recycle cards over and over. But it is worth bearing in mind that if you do use this on a shifted character like Stitch, you do ramp your opponent by 2, so just bear that in mind. But generally it's worth kind of doing anyway, in my opinion, because with the Stitch deck as a whole, if they don't have Stitch, the rest of the deck is just, it's just small characters. Once you deal with them, then the deck falls apart. So just get rid of the Stitch, and then you'll just generally win from there. But yeah, very, very good card. Honestly, you should grab 4 copies of it when it comes out as well. Okay, and the last thing is 1 jump ahead. So a character who costs 2 or more can sing this song for free. Put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. So very nice to play on turn 2, or you can play Cruella de Vil on turn 2, or Aurora, and then sing it for free, and then just carry on that way. But it's just to kind of build up your ink nice and early. Right, so that is the deck as a whole. We've got some gameplay for you just following this now, so if you just stick around and you can see the deck in action.
Right. Here we go with Sapphire, Emerald, Midrange. I just played a few games off camera and was pleasantly surprised with the deck as a whole. So hopefully I get to kind of showcase what it does. Okay, so the only 1-drops this deck plays is Develop Your Brain. So we are going to be playing that because I want to try and find a jump ahead for turn 2. Don't see it. But Genie is not the worst, so we'll just take the Genie and pass. Okay, so we're against Amber, so it just looks like Stitch. Okay, alright. I'm just wondering whether to play the Aurora on turn 2. In all honesty, we're probably going to be playing the Mickey. So we'll probably play both these develops. Haha. Apparently I'm going to be drawing Mickey. The other one. We'll take the Beast. Okay. So next turn we'll play one of the Mickeys. Okay. Alright. So we don't need this many Robin Hoods. There's not many things that my opponent plays that's evasive. Pascal's probably the only thing. So let's play the Mickey. Ramp up to 4. So it's impossible for my opponent to play Rockstar Stitch this turn because they don't have Lantern. So the earliest they could do it is next turn. which will give us actually time to get to 6, so we can bounce it with the genie. If they exert any of these, we'll play a beast. Okay, Pascal. Right, okay. Okay, so we use Mickey to sing a jump ahead. Ink that. We'll play the Aurora. Okay, hopefully my opponent does shift into the Stitch. Now we can just put it back in his hand. Your Mickey Mouse is probably going to get eaten here though. Yep, there we go. Fortunately, my opponent doesn't have any ink to play any of his 1 or 2 drops, so that Stitch is going to have literally no effect. Did he not find any characters in his top 4? Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay. Right. That Stitch can go back in his hand. Run over that. And we'll quest with a Mickey as well, because chances are he's not going to send the Pascal into it. So he's probably going to shift the okay, he's not going to bother. Unless he inks and then does it. Yeah, it's a possibility. My only problem is I don't have anything currently to answer it, so I need to top another genie or a let it go. Cheshire Cat is not let it go. Okay. So we'll play the Mickey. Just to use it because we can't do anything else with it. And we'll play the Cheshire Cat. And then we'll start ramping away. Because it may just be that we have to erase our opponent. Because if he starts filling up his board with a Stitch here, we need to be able to kind of race him to the end. Okay, Maleficent. Oh, it's kind of glitched a bit there. See if he draws any other 1 or 2 drops. Nope, that's fine. So he's only got 1 ink left. Okay, so 2 ink. Okay, he's just going to play Lantern. Has he got the 1 drop for it? Looks like it. What is he doing? Okay, apparently doesn't. Right. So we'll play Beast. We'll run over the Maleficent hybrid. Okay. What is going on? Right, so we'll go quest, 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 quest. So we're nearly at the game anyway, regardless. So my opponent needs to start challenging my board, which quite honestly they can't really do. Not with the board they have. Okay, Dot Facilier. Okay, there we go. The board's corrected itself now. Okay, LeFou, inks. What's he got in his hand? Timon, okay. Exert, draw. Okay, exert, draw. How many lore points have we got on board? 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11 lore points on board. We only need 6. Okay, that's fine. Opponent just trades in 2 of their things, still doesn't knock us off lethal. So even when we couldn't answer that stitch, our board was just too big for our opponent to deal with. Okay. So that's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Still 8 loyalty, and there we go. GG's. Okay. Right. The only thing we're keeping here is the develop your brain, because we need to find our ramp. Okay. So we'll see if we can find a jump ahead with the develop your brain. If not, we'll probably just play the Cruella on turn 2. Right, okay. Don't need 2 Auroras. See if we can find the jump ahead. No. Do we need that Aurora? No, we'll take the big boy. Because this guy can take an attack from Zeus, no problem. Okay, Amethyst Ruby. Interesting, okay. Right. Play the Cruella. Okay, got Wardrobe, that's fine. So if I quest with the Cruella, the Wardrobe's probably going to eat it, but put the Wardrobe back in hand, that's fine. Okay. Play the Mickey. Go up to 4 ink. Quest. So we'll probably drop this guy next turn. Unless we see a beast. Oh, okay, let's question with it instead. Doesn't want to hit the Cruella. I get it, I get it. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. That's fine, I'll still send the Wardrobe back. Okay, inks the Wardrobe. Okay. So gonna play this dude. Not gonna do any attacks, just because there isn't anything worth attacking at the minute. Like, yeah, I could put 1 damage on the broom, but it's not worth it right now. Okay, inks to 5. Plays that. Okay. Right. So our current choice is we can either play the Robin Hood with no value, but it answers the Pascal, or we can play the Aurora, So we'll play Develop Your Brain first and then probably do Aurora. Okay, there's Genie, that's a good draw. So do that, so we think he's only one attack. Which means that you'd have to send both of those in to actually get rid of it. I don't think there's anything else we need to do this turn. Okay, let's get rid of that. If he does anything with this broom, I'm going to bounce the Mickey back to hand. Okay. That's interesting. He's left his whole board vulnerable. So we're going to take advantage of that. So I can go back to his hand. I can get run over. And I can get run over. Okay, so we're in a good position. Our opponent's got a massive lore lead, but we're now in control of the board. Haha! Goodbye to the one lore point we did have. Right. So. Let's play both of these. Is it worth kind of sending that over? Yeah, I think we need to catch up in lore points, otherwise we're never going to catch up. So I'm not quite sure what he's going to attack, either the Aurora or the Peter Pan. Okay, bye Genie. Okay, he's just going to quest with it. Okay. Although I'd rather not kind of bounce it back to his hand, so what we'll do... And then I'm just going to send these two into it. And I'll save the Genie to bounce something that doesn't have an enter the battlefield trigger. So like Mickey, I know he's still got that in his hand. There it is. It's a nice target for Genie, especially as he's played out the broom. Okay, what's he shuffling back a broom? Rapunzel, that's fine. Okay, right, so put back that. Okay. We've got nothing that's only got 2 toughness left. So it doesn't really matter that if he slams the Mickey next turn and trades in one of these, because nothing's going to die. And that's what 2 lore points, so that's 2, 5, 6 lore points there. Okay, so that's 3 lore worth there. Okay, that's fine. Right. So if we go that there, quest, quest, quest. That's worth 2, so it's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So he needs to knock more than 2 lore points off. Nope, nope, it's not done it. Alright, cool, GG's.